Hello, this is David Taylor at Web Media in Chester, and in this video I'd like to talk about how a successful website starts with understanding how buyers think. We do a lot of consideration of buyer thinking when we're putting a website together. The first thing that we consider is that buyers are ready to buy, and that might sound like a very obvious statement, but if you understand that somebody who is going into the marketplace has a certain mindset that they're ready to part with their hard-earned money in order to buy a product or service on the condition that that product or service is right for them and meets their needs. And so when you're thinking about buyers and your website, the first thing to consider is that a buyer has a number of barriers in place between them and making a purchasing decision. We all do it when we go to purchase something as big as a house or a car, or as small as a bar of chocolate. We all have a number of subconscious barriers that need to be broken down for us to make a purchasing decision, unless you're a completely impulsive purchaser, but most people aren't. So in terms of breaking down those barriers, some of the classic barriers that I'm talking about is, number one, does this business do what I'm looking for? And you'd be surprised at how many websites fail to answer the obvious question, what do we do as a business? They make assumptions because business owners are so close to their own business that they start to forget how consumers think who have never come across their business and never met them, versus how they think of as someone who owns that business 24/7. So when somebody lands on a website, the first headline and the first imagery that they see above the scroll on the screen needs to convince them that they are in the right place. And what that means is that whatever they've gone looking for, whether it's website design or lawnmower maintenance, that's what it says at the top of the home page. And as simple and as silly as that might sound, it's really important that you break down that first barrier as quickly as possible by assuring people that they're in the place that they intended to be in. The second barrier is, does this business understand me? And this is quite a short sentence, but it's actually a very large area of thinking and consideration, because understanding your clients and their needs and their pain points and what makes them tick is absolutely fundamental, not only to websites but to all forms of marketing. Because the better that you can understand the needs of your audience and your prospects, the better that you can adapt your products and services and your marketing to meet those needs, and the more likely you will be to be successful. So something that we recommend is that websites play very clearly, and I don't mean in narrative text of paragraphs, I mean in bullet points and headlines, that the website plays very clearly to understanding the needs and the problems of that consumer. So in the case of a domestic cleaning company, for example, what is the problem that consumer has? Well, almost certainly it's time. They don't have the time to clean their own house, because they have very busy lives and demands from many other quarters. So actually telling that consumer that you understand that time is a resource that they have very little of, and you're there to solve that problem, that's something that needs to be on that particular website very clearly. So the third barrier that needs to be broken down is, has this business done what I want before, and were those customers satisfied? This is also known as social proof, but it's basically putting up examples, or sometimes called case studies, and to some extent testimonials, although testimonials can be not as effective. But putting up examples on your website, on your homepage, even in summary form, that shows that you have done what this buyer is after. You've done it before, preferably you've done it many times, and you've got evidence that the people you did it for were very happy with what you did. And nothing really convinces consumers to buy more than that particular issue. So make sure that that is on your website. The next barrier to be broken down is, am I going to get value for money? Everybody's concerned about price. Sometimes it's the main thing they're concerned about, and sometimes it's not the main thing they're concerned about. But there will always be buyers' consideration of price. So you need to demonstrate on your homepage again how you are going to deliver value for money. And there are various ways of doing that. You can do comparisons with other providers, or you can just illustrate to the consumer what they're going to get and where the added value that your business is going to provide for their hard-earned cash. The next barrier to break down is, will this business support any issues after the sale? So again, you've managed to break down everything in advance of them making a purchasing decision with you, but some people want to know if something happens, or the product or service develops a problem after I've paid for it, are you going to be around? Are you going to be responsive? Are you going to be helpful? And that's important for a lot of consumers. The next barrier is, has this business been around for a while and they're not going to disappear next month? So again, people want to know that as a business you haven't just started up, although some business will have just started up. That is evident, but generally buyers like to do business with businesses that have been around for a while, have a track record, and have happy customers under their belt, and also some assurance that that they're not just about to close down and disappear. So if you can satisfy that, then all the better. The next barrier is, can this business deliver what I want in the time scale I want it? So time is often a criteria for buyers. Some buyers want the product or service straight away. If you can satisfy everything else but you can't provide that product for 6 weeks, then you might well lose that sale. So you need to illustrate to people the time scale that they would expect to receive their product or service. And then finally, does this business offer anything over its competitors? It's always useful to differentiate your business from your competition. If there's something that you do, or something about your skills and experience that sets you apart, it's good to flag that up on your website. And again, that gives you some leverage and advantage. So it's important to remember that your website is your silent sales force and needs to be able to break down the barriers. I just make a small adjustment. Barriers to selling, and I've outlined those barriers in the last few minutes up here. And only when you do that, you break down those barriers, can you expect that prospect to pick up the phone or to send you an email. And that is a major breakthrough. You're halfway to succeeding in your sale. What you've got to do then is that you've got to engage on a personal level, a human level with that buyer, and you've got to reinforce what you said on your website. People, they want to hear it directly from you, that you're able to satisfy them on all of these issues that they've got as barriers to buying. And I've been through this many times in my own business, and I've seen it in many other businesses. And if you think of it in terms of your website breaking down those barriers and make sure that it does that, then you will be on the way to having a much more successful online website. So I hope you find that useful, and I look forward to hearing about your successes in the future. But for now, I'll close this video and I'll see you on the next one.